Wow, it's been a long time since I've been with so many young people in one place. Very energizing to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. Um, I suppose as the IT minister, this is one of the more fun parts of the job to come here today. And in case you were wondering, this is not my notes, but this is the briefing note that was given to me about the company, about the event, about the office space. And I was just saying to your CEO that I can't recall going to another event where I had a more thorough briefing note prepared. So it just goes to show you the extent to which. So I don't need this anymore. My memory is quite good. But I'm very happy to be here for multiple reasons. As the IT minister, as a member of my Chief Minister's government, by far the most important thing for us today is the creation of jobs, particularly high value, particularly intellectually kind of leading creation of intellectual property, R&D, engineering design, these kinds of jobs. It's important to us for multiple reasons. By far the most important is because, as some of you may have read in the New York Times article a few days ago, really we need to benefit from the demographic dividend rather than worry about the implications of having a lot of unemployed youth. So as much as growth is important to us, as much as social equity is important to us from a political philosophy of the party and the movement I come from, it is even more important to us in the short term for the future, at least for the next generation, that we get all our young people who are getting, relative to the rest of India, a very high level of education, that we get them all jobs that's appropriate for their level of education. Now that's easy enough to have goal if you have clarity. It's very difficult for the government to do directly because the government at best is a small fraction of the local total employment opportunity. But our job is to create an environment, is to create the circumstances, is to create a leverageable, incentivizable kind of model where brilliant people, entrepreneurs, visionaries can come together in teams and do something like Zifo has done. In particular, I think Zifo is of great value to us as a state, and though you said it jokingly, I definitely want to promote you for two reasons. One, in the space that you are. Tamil Nadu as a state is strong in manufacturing, it's strong relatively in IT, but we are very weak in the bio, pharma, vaccine, drug sector. I think there's multiple reasons for it, but it hit us very hard when COVID came upon us and we were so short capacity, either for drugs or for vaccines, and we were literally begging all over the world. Even oxygen, we had to find some proper, some surreptitious methods to get enough oxygen to take care of the people who needed it in a hurry. So this is a sector that we need to do a lot more in, and to have this wonderful company that has many of the leading biopharma companies of the world as their client gives us hope that it's something that we can replicate, connect, leverage as we go down our aspiration to increase the weight of the medical sector, medical devices, medical drugs, medical inoculations, all of it in Tamil Nadu. The second reason, and that's also very close to my heart, is that I read in the briefing note that 60% of the employees are women. That's an amazing thing, right? I've said it multiple times, so I'll say it here again. I started out by telling the Finance Commission of India that the more money you take from us in the southern states and the more you give it to the northern states, for 25 years, the northern states have been getting relatively poorer and the southern states have been getting relatively richer. Every other part of the world, if you take money from the well-off and give it to the less well-off, the gap closes. That's true in China, that's true in America, that's true in the European Union. But in India, you keep on taking money from the developed states, you keep on giving it to the Hindi heartland, and you keep on having the gap widen. The reason is that you're not incentivizing the right things. And the right things primarily are two things. One, inclusion. Every single person should be given opportunity, starting with the 50% of the population that are women, all the communities, all the areas, all the towns, all the villages, everybody should be given opportunity. And two, that opportunity has to come through education. So unless you get everybody into school, every single kid into school, there is no future for you 20 years from now. Even if you're Gujarat, where you have a per capita income that is what is Tamil Nadu's, but 50% of the girls at 18 have not graduated high school, you simply cannot compete. I have an article coming out in a day or two, which I had promised to write New Year's Eve, but I didn't have time. It compares the developmental path of different states, and it talks about what you can do in terms of short term, by transfers, by incentivization, by tax breaks, what you cannot do, which is only doable generation by generation, which is to get everybody into the education system and then give everybody equal opportunity in jobs, in inheritance, in entrepreneurship, in creating enterprises. So, in that sense, it's rare for me to go to institutions, particularly IT institutions, where the ratio of women is 60%, let alone 50%, even then 60% is phenomenal. So first, I congratulate you and say that I'm very happy to be here because for somebody like me who comes from 100 years of the Dravidian movement that started with giving women the right to vote for the first time in India, for the first time in the Madras Presidency in 1921, before the right to vote was given to women in the United Kingdom. So this is how long we've been at it, and we're very, very happy. The New York Times article I mentioned earlier pointed out that 43% of the women working in all of India in the manufacturing sector, 43% of the women working are working in the state of Tamil Nadu alone. Though we are 5% of the population, 43% of all women working are working in Tamil Nadu. It tells you something about our culture, about our education system, about the safety, about the propensity to create employment that we have. On a more organizational note, there are many ways to be successful. There are many ways to get rich. There are many ways to be famous. But what I think drives an economy, a society, a community is institutions. In fact, one could argue that the quality of a democracy is defined by the strength and independence of the institutions that are supposed to keep it in check and balance, like the judiciary, like the election commission, like the market regulator, like other kind of standard setters and regulators. Unfortunately, in a lot of places, we see decay. And I'm saying that as somebody who lived in the United States for 20 years, who was an expat for 30 years. All over the world, we are seeing kind of a decay in society, a decay in democracy, a decay in political leadership. And so I often say when I go to things like the CII or, big, NASCOM, I say what the country needs is people who can create institutions and institutions that have strong and clear cultures. That's what the people who have started Zifo have done. That when you go to an office and you see people who have a shared value system, a shared alignment of incentives, a shared vision, feel pride in their work, feel strongly identified with the company and the brand, that's what institutional development and the creation of culture is all about. Usually you can tell whether the culture is lasting because when people keep changing jobs, including the CEOs and the founders, whether something sustains is an indication of whether that culture is actually set properly and continues. That's true in politics, it's true in big corporates, it's true in medium corporates. And what I think is amazing to me is this pursuit of that standard of excellence that we were talking about when I was taking the tour. that we want to do everything just so, and we want to make every office a little bit better than the last office, every expansion a little bit better than the last one. That's what it takes to build a great company, a great society, a great country. It takes people who have the vision to create organizations beyond whether they just make money or they get to be famous or they get to be rich. So in that sense also, I'm very happy to be here. I see this as a shining example of the kinds of things that our society, our community, our entrepreneurs, our leaders, our visionaries have been able to create. I'm very happy that so many of you have great jobs in this company. I know that you still have a long way to go. Your briefing note says you expect or hope to double in the next few years. I'm sure you'll do it. I wish you all the very best for that. I congratulate you on all the things you've done so far. I thank you again for inviting me, and I hope you have a really good day and a really good year. Thank you very much.